What if the Warriors' last hope of keeping their dynasty alive is in a cast? That question isn't just a metaphor. Because right now, as the Golden State Warriors front office begins planning what could be the final competitive breath of the Steph Curry era, one quiet name is becoming a key piece in this board of uncertainties. Moses Moody, the young shooting guard who just underwent surgery on his right thumb, is more than just a stat or a promise. He's a reflection of a deep dilemma facing a franchise desperately trying to balance present and future. A franchise that once touched the sky, but now, with an aging core and an unstable foundation, finds itself staring into the abyss. To understand why Moody's situation matters so much, we need to go back to 2021. In that year's draft, the Warriors held two valuable lottery picks. It was the perfect opportunity to lay the groundwork for a smooth transition. Steph, Klay, and Draymond were still performing at a high level, but they weren't young anymore. The front office made a bold bet: Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. The idea was clear: develop both players alongside the championship core without sacrificing competitiveness. Kuminga had his ups and downs, but gradually carved out a role. Moody, on the other hand, remained on the fringes. A quieter player, more tactical than explosive. A 22-year-old who, so far, is still searching for an identity within one of the most complex systems in the NBA. And here's where it gets complicated. Moody finished the 2024-25 season averaging 9.8 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 1.3 assists, despite shooting a solid 43.3% represents a short-term 37.4% from three, and 79.7% from the free throw line. Nothing extraordinary, but promising, especially for someone who had limited minutes and a floating role throughout the year. In the playoffs, he had his chances, but the results were mixed. His average dropped to 7.1 points, with only 35% shooting from the field and 33% from beyond the arc. A concerning sign for someone trying to earn a spot in a roster built on excellence. Still, there was a spark. A 25.9 rebound game, showing that the potential is there. The talent is real. But the NBA doesn't run on flashes. It runs on consistency. And that's Moses Moody's biggest challenge right now. Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This type of content can disappear at any moment if new updates emerge. And here, you get everything in-depth, no fluff. If you love the behind-the-scenes of the NBA, this is your place. Shortly after Warriors season ended, the news dropped like a silent bomb. Moody had undergone surgery to repair a torn ulnar collateral ligament in his right thumb. The injury was successfully treated in Los Angeles. According to the team, the official expectation is that he'll be ready for the start of training camp. But within any sports organization, the word hope isn't always enough. Because while doctors set timelines, NBA time doesn't wait. And Stephen Curry's time, specifically, is running out. The lack of young talent on the Warriors roster has become a glaring issue. The bet on developing youth alongside veterans never materialized as planned. James Wiseman is gone. Kuminga is inconsistent. And now, all the chips are on Moody, a young player who is yet to make the leap. The question many inside the franchise don't say out loud, but certainly feel, is there still time? Can Moses Moody become a relevant role player, someone who complements Curry's game, or even takes on more responsibility if needed? Because if the answer is no, then the Warriors are staring at an uncomfortable truth. The succession plan has failed. The most intriguing part of this story lies in the silence. No official source speaks of doubt. No report suggests loss of faith. On the contrary, the franchise continues to state that Moody is expected to be physically ready for training camp. But that doesn't answer what truly matters. Because the problem isn't just physical. It's mental. It's technical. It's tactical. It's about reinventing yourself quickly on a team that can no longer afford to wait. It's about proving, in the very first practices of next season, that the 25-point game was an anomaly, but a preview. Otherwise, Moody might become just another name on the long list of young prospects who passed through San Francisco without leaving a mark. The Golden State Warriors are at a critical crossroads. They no longer have 3 years to develop someone. They might have 1, 2 at best. Curry is still a superstar, but for how much longer? And with what kind of roster around him? This thumb surgery is a giant question mark. Because if Moody comes back better, more mature, more efficient, he could be the missing link between the past and the future. But if he doesn't, or if he comes back the same, it might already be too late. And now I want to hear from you. Does Moses Moody still have what it takes to be part of the Warriors' future? Or was this injury just another sign that the plan to renew the dynasty is falling apart? Let me know in the comments. What happens when an era knocks at the door and the clock starts ticking against you? The Golden State Warriors are living that exact dilemma. A franchise that dominated the NBA over the past decade, led by Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, is now facing the weight of time, injuries, and questionable decisions. The last hope? A young core that is yet to prove itself, and that might now be on the verge of being dismantled. In the first part of this story, we talked about Moses Moody. The 22-year-old underwent surgery on his right thumb right after the end of the 2024-25 season. He had a few flashes in playoffs, including an explosive 25.9 rebound performance, but finished the postseason on a disappointing note. It was a sign that maybe, just maybe, the Warriors' rebuild project was already failing, and failing badly. The frustration of seeing young talents fluctuate in crucial moments added to fatigue of relying too much on the veterans. Stephen Curry, despite his age, is still a genius. But even geniuses feel the weight of responsibility when they have no support. The early playoff exit, even after convincing win over the second-seeded Rockets, was a final warning. Something had to change. That's when the Warriors decided to go further. If the youth can't deliver now, maybe it's time to turn them into more NBA-ready pieces. And so begins a drastic retooling, perhaps the last before the window with Curry closes for good. The arrival of Jimmy Butler, midway through the season, was the first big move. The impact was immediate. Butler brought mentality, defense, and experience. Despite still playing at a high level for a few months, a short-term, it felt like everything was falling into place. But Curry's injury in the semifinals against the Minnesota Timberwolves exposed just how fragile this build still was. Without their superstar, the team lost in 5 games. And with that elimination came clarity. The roster needed depth, defense, and paint presence. And it needed it now. That's the context for a proposed 3-team trade involving the Golden State Warriors, Brooklyn Nets, and Charlotte Hornets. But before diving into the details, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Would you trade your young players for one last shot at title? Or hold on to the future at all costs? The package is bold. The Warriors would receive Cam Johnson, Mark Williams, and Josh Okogie. The Brooklyn Nets would get Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and a 2028 first-round pick. And the Hornets would acquire Moses Moody, Tracy Jackson-Davis, and a 2032 first-round pick. Now let's break down the impact for each side, starting with the Warriors. This trade represents a complete shift in mindset. Instead of betting on developing their youth, the team opts for win-now players. Cam Johnson, a career 39% three-point shooter, is a natural fit for Steve Kerr's system. His off-ball movement, tactical IQ, and solid defense make him a valuable piece for any playoff rotation. He fills the void left by Klay Thompson and, in part, Buddy Hield. Mark Williams is a defensive anchor the Warriors have long sought. At 7 feet tall, with averages of 15.3 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks before injury, he brings rim protection, rebounding, and lob threat. Things the Warriors haven't truly had since JaVale McGee's days. And then there's Josh Okogie. He may not be the flashiest name, but he's exactly the kind of player that turns teams into champions. A relentless defender, capable of guarding wings and guards. He can ease Draymond Green's defensive load and bring energy to the second unit. With this trio, the Warriors reposition themselves at the top of the West. The core of Curry, Butler, and Draymond now has elite support, depth, and versatility. The team once again looks like a contender, and more importantly, it's respected again. But on the other side of the board, the Brooklyn Nets aren't losing. Far from it. Jonathan Kuminga, despite an inconsistent season, is still just 22 years old and has star potential. With averages of 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds, he's shown flashes of brilliance. The problem? He never had the freedom to make mistakes and grow. In Brooklyn, that changes. The Nets are in full rebuild mode. By moving Cam Johnson and Josh Okogie, they clear minutes and roles for Kuminga to flourish. In a less rigid system with less pressure to win now, he can finally become the player he was projected to be on draft night. Buddy Hield, in turn, can be useful in two ways: as a veteran to mentor the young guys, or as a trade asset. His shooting remains valuable, and the 2028 pick gives the Nets additional draft capital, a must for a franchise building for the future. As for the Hornets, they're playing the long game. With the departures of Mark Williams and Okogie, they bring in Moses Moody and Tracy Jackson-Davis. Two young players with NBA-ready bodies and untapped potential. Moody, despite his inconsistencies, is a solid defender with a reliable three-point shot. He could fit nicely alongside LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. Tracy Jackson-Davis, athletic and hardworking, is a type of energy big man that can bring hustle off the bench. And with the 2032 pick, Charlotte adds another draft piece that can become a strategic trade chip or a long-term development project. In the end, each franchise walks away with something it wants. The Warriors get a final shot at a ring. The Nets gain youth and upside. The Hornets get patience and depth. But the lingering question remains, is it worth it? Is giving up Kuminga, Moody, and TJD, three young players with real potential, in exchange for more experience, complementary pieces the key to one last title run for Curry? Or are the Warriors selling the future for a dream that's already gone? And there's more. Rumors suggest Giannis Antetokounmpo's name is still floating around behind the scenes in San Francisco. Could this trade be just the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you approve of this move? Or would you rather start rebuilding now? Leave a like, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel, because this Golden State Warriors saga is just getting started.